On December 7th, 1963, thousands gathered in Philadelphia for the annual Army-Navy game. The nation was still mourning the loss of President John F. Kennedy only weeks prior. In this era, television was a window to the world. But it was a window that only looked forward. Once a moment happened on screen, it vanished into the ether, living on only in the unreliable memories of those who saw it. Inside a crammed CBS production truck, however, a young director named Tony Verna was about to change how we experience time itself. In the 1960s, television was transforming fast, and audiences wanted more than just to watch. They wanted to understand. Tony Verna's invention of instant replay during the 1963 Army-Navy game revolutionized the broadcast media. The public's initial reaction forced broadcasters to rethink how they showed live sports, sparking reforms that would change sports officiating and how the entire world consumes media. In the early 1960s, sports broadcasting was still in its infancy. Cameras were bulky, stationary giants. Lenses were limited, and the footage often appeared as a grainy blur of motion. If you blinked during a touchdown, it was lost to history. There was no going back, no second chances, and certainly no slow motion. Tony Verna, an ambitious young director at CBS, looked at this lost moment and saw a missed opportunity. He realized that the human eye, even when focused, often missed the intricate ballet of a quarterback's footwork with a subtle fumble of a ball. What if, he wondered, viewers could see it again? What if television could provide a divine replay to help the audience study the game like an expert?
Viewers could see what happened on a play, but they couldn't see why it happened.
So I'd say to cameramen like Joe Sidlow, I'd say, Joe, what happened to that receiver? He says, oh, he tripped at the line, he was checked or something. And I said, wouldn't it be great if I could see what happened? But it didn't matter later. It had to be instant, right after the play.
But technology was a massive physical wall in his way. Videotape itself was a luxury. And in 1963, editing wasn't a digital process. It meant literally cutting magnetic tape with a razor blade and piecing it back together. The idea of replaying something live and instant was considered impossible. The Ampex videotape machines Verna had to use were the size of industrial refrigerators, weighing over 1,000 pounds. These machines were designed for studio recordings, not split-second high-pressure timing of a live football game. Still, Verna worked in the shadows. He experimented in secret for months, tinkering with the heavy equipment and developing a system of audio beeps to mark the tape. He knew that if the machine glitched even for a second, he could ruin the national broadcast, potentially ending his career.
It came with a tape that had I Love Lucy on it, and so if the tape didn't record properly, you would get Lucy on the air. I mean, you had to be careful.
His colleagues thought he was chasing a fantasy, but Verna was driven by a core conviction. Television wasn't just a mirror of the game, it was a tool to explain it. He was preparing for a revolution that would soon shatter the boundaries of live media. The stage was finally set. The 1963 Army-Navy game was one of the most watched events of the year, providing Verna with the ultimate platform, the ultimate risk. But as the game began, the revolution seemed destined to fail. The first half was a technical nightmare. Inside the truck, the heat rose as the massive tape machines struggled to stay synced. The machine jammed repeatedly, the timing was off by several seconds every time they tried to cue a play. To the crew inside the truck, it seemed Verna's experiment would crash and burn on national television before a single replay even hit the air. Then came the fourth quarter. The tension in the stadium was at its peak. Army quarterback Rollie Sidgway took the snap, found a gap, and lunged into the end zone for a touchdown. Verna saw his window. Suddenly, across America, the impossible happened. One moment, the viewers were watching the aftermath of the play. The next, the touchdown replayed before their eyes. The reaction was instant chaos. You have to remember, in 1963, live meant now. There was no concept of a recorded repeat in a news or sports setting. Viewers at home leapt from their chairs, some cheering, others shouting in confusion, convinced they had just seen Army score a second identical touchdown in the span of 5 seconds. In the stadium, fans with the translator radios were baffled, thinking the clock had somehow malfunctioned. In the broadcast booth, legendary announcer Lindsey Nelson realized the audience was panicking. He had to shout over the crowd noise to set the record straight.
It was broadcaster Lindsey Nelson's duty to sound the warning sirens.
And I say, "This is it, Lindsey, go." And Lindsey looks at the monitor and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, Army has not scored again." Now, if you said that today, they'd throw a net on you and take you out of the booth and put you in a booby hatch.
That moment of confusion was the birth of a new visual language. For the first time in history, television had bent the arrow of time. It wasn't just about the touchdown, it was a revelation that TV could replay reality, allowing us to witness the past and the present. Tony Verna had changed the very rhythm of how humanity remembers events as they happen. In the months following that cold December day, the television industry was in a frenzy. The revolution was total. Every major network, NBC, ABC, and international broadcasters scrambled to build their own Verna-style replay units. In the short term, this transformed sports fans from passive observers into active analysts. They began to look for the truth behind the play, demanding to see every angle. By the 1970s and 80s, replay technology had fundamentally redefined the art of broadcasting. It gave birth to the color commentator, experts who would use the replay to break down mechanics, strategies, and player errors in real time. But the biggest reform was yet to come. As camera lenses grew sharper and tape became digital, one uncomfortable truth was exposed. The human officials on the field were often wrong. Fans watching slow-motion replays could see a ball touch the ground or a foot step out of bounds with crystal clarity. They saw the errors that the referees missed and began to demand accountability. This public pressure forced professional leagues to change their entire philosophy. By 1986, the NFL officially adopted instant replay for officiating purposes. By 1999, the Coach's Challenge became a permanent part of the game's legal structure. What started as a clever production trick from Tony Verna's head had evolved into a vital tool for justice and fairness. Replay moved from the dark corners of the production truck to the high-tech referee's booth. Today, that same legacy of reform lives on every corner of the globe, from the VAR in World Cup soccer to the Hawkeye system in tennis and the centralized review centers in Major League Baseball. Verna didn't just change how games were broadcast, he changed the rules of the games themselves, ensuring that the truth of the camera could override the fallibility of the human eye. Tony Verna's gamble in 1963 triggered a global chain reaction that we are still feeling today. His creation reshaped television, sports, technology, and the very way millions of people experience live moments. What began as a confusing double touchdown that nearly panicked the stadium has become a global expectation for truth. We now live in a replay world. We rewind live TV on our couches, we loop viral clips on our phones, and we demand to see every angle of every breaking news event. The lost moment no longer exists. Though Tony Verna passed away in 2015, his impact endures every time a referee checks a monitor or a fan says, "Wait, show that again." He proved that one bold idea introduced at the exact right moment can change how humanity remembers reality forever.